we are all capable of both the best and the worst. A bit apocalyptic, right? That's how the last sentence of the previous video ended. In this latest episode of the series, The Algebra of the Important, I am going to set the context. Here we go. Buckle up and don't blink if you don't want to miss a single idea. Imagine for a moment that in the morning, upon waking up, you suddenly find yourself on the set of a science fiction movie where the experiment is you. And no, I'm not talking about COVID, which was the largest forced experiment in history. I'm getting sidetracked from the topic. You are in an experiment, in that experiment, as I said, where your actions, your decisions, and your deepest values are being put to the test. No, it's not an episode of Black Mirror, although it could be, but rather a modern version of the famous prison experiment from one of the most prestigious universities in the United States. Stanford, this is not conducted by the psychologist Philip Zimbardo in 1971. He studied something very interesting but dangerous. Under certain circumstances, we are all capable of both the best and the worst. The Stanford experiment became one of the most discussed and controversial studies in the history of psychology, to the point that they had to discontinue it because it got out of hand. Ordinary students, all on equal footing, were carefully and meticulously selected and assigned roles as guards and prisoners in a temporary and makeshift prison at the university. The surprise or horror was that the guards quickly became sadistic and authoritarian, while the prisoners appeared submissive and desperate. What did this experiment reveal? That our actions are strongly influenced by the context in which we find ourselves. That's something I explained to my daughters in the way an ideal father who gives a beating would. How incredulous they often are, denying the evidence. Because it is easy to judge the behaviors of others from a distance. But things are not black and white when you find yourself in a certain situation and have to make the right decisions under those same circumstances. In fact, it is worth clarifying that Zimbardo did not choose sociopaths to be guards, nor individuals with masochistic tendencies to be prisoners. They were normal bipedal hominids like you and me, follower. Don't look. So what happened? What this teaches us in this story is that our principles and values are not as immutable as we like to think. Under the right, or rather inappropriate circumstances, we can justify behaviors that we would undoubtedly condemn in a normal, everyday context. The moral reflection that arises is unavoidable. What would you have done in those circumstances? And before responding with the certainty of an external observer, consider this. The influence of the environment and social pressure can be very, very powerful. In real life, we are not exempt from these effects. Whether in the workplace, social settings, or even family, our decisions can be shaped in ways we cannot even imagine. Translating to the professional world, managers, advisors, employees, entrepreneurs, all of us must make an effort to understand the perspective of those around us. Easy to say, hard to do, as I tell my daughters. The question, the to be or not to be, the crux of the matter is to try to create a context that fosters the best in us and not the worst. How? The answer, although not simple, begins with creating environments where psychological safety prevails. That's right, because we all know that a team that feels safe is more productive. Or at least, that's what they say in all those leadership books that decorate the shelves and collect dust. I know, it sounds like a song by Pablo Alborán. It must be acknowledged that this doesn't happen overnight, but it is possible with effort and dedication. In fact, Amy Edmondson, one of the professors at the famous Boston Business School, where I am currently located, has developed a theory on psychological safety in companies, with a strong impact on the management community. She posits that in work teams where there is a psychologically safe environment, members feel secure to take interpersonal risks, without fear of being humiliated or punished. What this does is foster openness, innovation, and learning, as individuals are more willing to share ideas, admit mistakes, and seek feedback. A business leader must be aware of the power that a psychologically safe environment has over the behavior of their teams, trying to leverage the good side of the maxim that we are all capable of both the best and the worst. fostering a culture of transparency and support can make the difference between a motivated team and one that acts out of fear of pressure. And now, even though the algebra of the important has ended, we continue with more ideas in the next Don't See It.